Sometimes the video starts like that.
Yeah.
Just the usual. Hello guys, it's Peter from PS Sound and Gavin from Subtronix. From Subtronix Caraudio.
Yeah.
If you don't know Gav, well, let's just say a few words about you. Jesus Christ, who's basing right now when we need it?
Could be a number of cars.
Well, hopefully it doesn't disturb the listeners too much. So Gav, can you just say a few words about your background in Caraudio?
Alright, so I was always into cars as a kid because my dad was into cars, and kind of, you know, as a kid you get reading car magazines and sort of looking at things that you want to own when you grow up, and that kind of led me to look at cars that are featured in the magazine that had nice systems in. Got me interested in it. So at the age of sort of 15, 16, I was kind of rewiring like families and friends systems.
Brilliant.
Building things for, you know, for people, just basic stuff.
Okay.
I didn't really know what I was doing, but then I managed to get a sort of work experience with Caraudio in Nottingham.
Okay.
Spent a few months there, and they taught me a few things, but also they reinforced what I already knew. So I knew that I was on the right track already. Okay. And you know.
So when did you start your business then?
6 years ago.
Okay.
So I've only been to business 6 years.
Because I remember that you started dry at the beginning, and then you were also UK champion, right?
Yeah. So I went to the last event. I think it was UK finals in 2011.
Yeah.
Listened to a few cars. Back then I wasn't really into SQ. I didn't know what it was. But I heard a few systems and realised that that's what it should be.
Then you did the season.
Yeah, did the next season, won that in my first year, took championship with hybrid audio products and a few other mix and match bits and bobs.
And since then, Gav built loads of sound quality cars, many champions. Even this season now, how many champions do you have now? This season?
Craig won this season.
In sound quality.
Yeah, Paul would have won.
Unlimited.
That's right. Yeah, Paul would have won the season in his class if it have made all of the events this year.
Because in our championship, you have to do every single round.
Yeah.
To gain the points. Yeah. So basically, Gav is a master installer. You know, you even had a bloody European champion title. Was second?
She was second by less than a point behind first place last year in the Euros. Yeah.
That was a crazy build. So now we are going to talk about the installation, because many people forget that part, and they think that, you know, I have, let's say, £3,000-4,000 and I want all this equipment. I want speaker, amplifier, and they will spend 3,900 from 4,000 for the equipment, and then they are surprised when it comes to installation that, oh, actually I need this, I need that. Yeah,
that's it. It's from a business owner's point of view, when you do the quote, people don't seem to. They think all the value is in the product, not in how you install the product. But it's not everybody's fault, you know. It's until they hear something and realise why it took so long to build it and how much of a difference it makes when you build it properly.
Yeah. How much difference the installation makes when it comes to sound quality.
You know, you could spend £1,000 on speakers and an amplifier, and not put the speakers in the right place, not aim them correctly, and you could easily beat that system with £150 speakers fitted correctly. You know,
absolutely.
You need to take your car to someone who knows how to get the sound from the environment, because you've got to remember, you're not listening to just the speakers, you're listening to the surfaces that all the sound bounces off. It's not like a room, you know, where a large room you can sort of change speakers and listen to the differences, and you're actually listening to probably the difference in the speakers, whereas in a car, you know, just changing the angle 5 degrees of a speaker makes a huge difference to the sound. And
let's say people buy the very same three-way, they put it in this car that we are sitting in, that we are going to walk around quickly and show it to you. You know, it's going to sound very different in this car than in another one. Yeah. Because speaker locations will be different, the build of the car is different, so it's going to change things big time. The other thing that people pull my hair out with is,
well, they've already done that to me, look, as you can see.
You see, he's more experienced. Experienced people in this trade have no hair.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm a newbie. So, you know, you always have to leave money for the installation. Also, just the accessories that you have to buy.
Yeah.
'Cause,
The cabling's got to be correct. If you're planning a multi-amplifier system that's going to pull a few hundred amps of current, the cabling's got to be able to handle that. You need distribution to handle, you know, where the
make it safe.
Make it safe, so everything's fused separately.
Also, the more amplifiers you plan, because I know many people who love old school gear and they have shitloads of amps. Oh, I want 3-4 amps in the car. I'm like, yeah, but then you also have to think about the time that it's going to take to actually build a rack for it.
Yeah.
It takes longer. Space. Then wiring, more distribution, more power cable, more signal cable. So you
decent
also,
RCA cable.
So you have to keep it in mind. But as I said, we have to approach this topic now from the starter's point of view. If you want to, you know, do a good sound quality system, and we mentioned this earlier in the previous video with Lee as well when it came to speaker selection. You know, nowadays it's so easy to buy just a single amp, one box solution with DSP built into it, and it can do really well.
Yeah.
It can actually shock people. We don't want to enter the conversation of having A, B class, A class, or digital amplifiers. This is not that topic.
Yeah.
But
for someone who's new to Caraudio, they don't need to be worrying about the little details like that, especially when you've got the advice of an installer that knows what products you should be using.
Of course you need good products.
Yeah.
And if you come to a meeting, you know, you listen to some of the best scoring cars, then you can see what they use. They use that for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they do the job well, they sound good, and probably they are good value too.
Yeah.
So,
as sort of time's gone on, and you know, one box solutions are coming down in price. Everyone's starting to, you know, the technology's got to such a high level. The differences between the highest level ones are very small. You know, like for instance DSPs. A lot of the time now people will choose what DSP they're going to use based on how well they get on with the software, rather than the actual, you know, the components inside or whatever.
What they sound like.
Yeah, they all sound very good. They've all got their own, you know, quirks, their own signature. But as long as you've got a good, reliable product that's you know, got enough power for what you need,
reliability
and tunability and flexibility, that's really all you need.
Also, when people turn up with second-hand gear that they own, obviously, yes, we understand that you want to use that, but you also have to keep in mind that we can't take responsibility for that equipment. Yeah,
you don't know where it's been, what kind of a life it's had. Old amplifiers especially, you know, things that are like 15 years old, but have a reputation for really good sound quality, like Phoenix Gold, M Series and stuff like that. You've got to watch the capacitors. If the capacitors have leaked,
they amplifiers even have shelf time, so you keep them on the shelf. You think it's brand new, you pull it out in 10 years time. Even in my latest Scooby, the Subaru build, the guy had a monoblock for the subs. The amp was like 10-12 year old, brand new, a Vibe amp, and he thought, you know, it'd be fine just to put it in the car. We put it in, and oh my lord, the floor noise on the amp was so high, even with the gain at the lowest point, that you couldn't stay in the car. It was through the subs.
Wow.
I couldn't do anything with that. We pulled it out of the car. At the end, there was no other option, and we put in another new amp. We didn't want to push him to spend more money, but at the end he had to. So you have to keep.
Yeah, you can waste so much money buying stuff secondhand and going through swapping amps out because they're not working, or by the time you've finished, you may as well have just.
I've done that too, and if you are experienced, then you probably what we are talking about, you know, doesn't help you because you already know these things. But those who start from scratch, then you have to be really clever what you buy second hand. On the long run, it works out better if you buy something new from a trustable, you know, installer and really good shop. Who has many championship titles in the lanes. They know what they talk about. So
I think from a point of view of what questions I ask a customer when I do a quote is, especially if it's something that's got to sound nice, it's got to be high level, is in terms of ergonomics, what am I allowed to do? What am I allowed to change? Some people don't like anything changing on the anything which does limit, you know, what you can do. But if you can do A-pillars, if you can do kick panels instead of doors, anything like that, be prepared if you want a really high level sound, that some things in the car have to change, and you need to trust the installer to do it in such a way that it looks stock or it looks factory or just fits in with everything in the car.
There's a reason why high level competitors always say cut.
Yep. Yeah, everyone owns it.
If you want the best sounding car, unfortunately, cutting is needed. You have to cut the dash here or there, the A pillar, modify the door card or something. So if you want a really good sound from an OEM build, where you use the OEM locations, then you have to select the car well too.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
In OEM classes, it's always pretty much down to what car you start with.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, for most people though, audio is a second sort of consideration. So you have to work around. Yeah, you have to work around what the vehicle, you know, presents you with, and it's a case of, from an installer point of view, it's a case of testing, and that's the thing is, you don't just take the speakers out of the car and put new speakers in their place and call it done. You know, you've got to test angles, you've got to test whether a speaker's going to work in a location.
Does it have enough airspace?
Does it have enough airspace? Is it going to be solid enough?
Is it the right driver for the door or for a small sealed box?
Yeah.
You have to read the specs, understand them.
Yeah. You listen for, you know, tonal accuracy, reflections that are going to mess around with the stage, you know. It's all things that we have to consider, and it's not something that can be done in 10 minutes. You know, you can't just look at a build and say this will work. You know, you have to test.
One thing now came into my mind as I'm sitting in this car, and I'm going to show it to you what Gav has done in this car at the end. I see so many builds with mids and tweets on the A pillars kept off axis. The speakers literally look at each other, you know, firing across the windscreen. Why do installers do that? I tell you why. Because they can't be asked to trim that pillar properly, and it's just easy to bang the speakers off axis, flush or flat on the A pillar, pull the fleece over it. It's easily done. They may put something nice on it, or fancy looking grills. Oh yeah, the other thing, they spend 2 days doing fancy looking grills and they don't do anything good for the sound. So then why would you spend that time on those fancy things instead of building a proper solid build for the speakers? Leave them enough airspace, what they require. These are more important than the look, but funnily, somehow people are always obsessed with the look. Like, same thing in the Scooby. Even if I highlight it, if you go on, even on my Facebook page, you can find the post regarding a door card which was built a year before the actual installation of the car. It was built by someone else, and the door cards were built by a guy who didn't even tell the client that, you know what, it's actually dangerous or pointless or stupid to build door panels without the door, without the car on site.
Without the car,
How can you test anything? How can you test clearance of the driver? Will that door go back? It didn't. And I had to spend 4 days to save those doors. So we could put them back on and we could make them sound good. So there are so many silly things that people don't think about. Of course, you know, yes, not everyone is experienced in this game, but always leave time and money for installation, because to get good sound quality, it's not going to happen just by buying expensive gear. Yeah, that's it. You see so many people that are just, you know, really expensive stuff in OEM positions, and while that's great from a sales point of view, it's not, you know, good return.
Do you want to spend twice the price for your speakers to get a 5% or 2% better sound than just putting cheaper speakers in those locations? You know, you don't have to completely change your car to get a good sound, but you've got to work out how far you're willing to go before you go ahead with anything. It was the same with Lee when in the previous video we were talking about the car that he built and was several times champion. He used super cheap speakers, and everyone wanted to know what he used, and they were like, you know, please tell us what speaker it is. Like, no, I'm not telling. Yeah, but they're like $20 cheap wideband speakers. Tell us. No, because I spent, you know, several years to research, test, to find the right one that works in given installations. And if you want that, bring it to me. I'll build it for you. It's simple as that. So sometimes I've said it too often. I think that, you know, if you help us, we help you. It has to work both ways. It doesn't matter
what it is the same. You know, it applies to everything in life.
Yeah, definitely. The emphasis has to be on you have to trust the installer to know what is going to work best for you.
The right installer.
Yeah, exactly. So they will, rather than you tell an installer this is the product I want to use, that doesn't really work. You know, you can express a desire for a product, but
do you think this product could work, or you could make it work in the car? Of course, if it's fine, happy days. But then you will also get the answer if it doesn't work.
Yeah,
like someone who I was helping years ago, he bought a Focal KRX3 freeway set because it was on sale for half price. Happy days. He thought that he would be able to fit it in his Mercedes, whatever Mercedes it was. It doesn't really matter. He didn't even open the box, he didn't even check the speakers, it's just the brand he was going for, and it was expensive when it was new, so I thought it was a good deal. Like, yeah, it was a great deal. Yeah, for whatever reason the video was cut. So yeah, where were we? So the guy spent a fortune on those speakers, but actually he didn't save anything because he couldn't install it in the car. So he lost money. So yeah, hopefully you learned something from this little video. Always do your research. If you don't have any confidence in this game, then try to find a good installer like Gavin at Subtronix, and you know, book an hour with him. Go and see him with your car. You can talk around it, see it. He can show cars which are, you know, competition winners. Then you have an idea about how, you know, what you really need to achieve that.
Yeah, it's always good to have an idea of what is most important in a build, you know, like the sound that you're looking for, if you're going to compete, at what level you want to compete, and just generally what your end goal is, because it may be very different to the next person's. And you know, it's until you actually sit in an SQ car and hear what they are all about, a lot of people don't actually put any value on it. They don't know it exists. That's another thing, is people don't know these systems exist. If they did, they'd be more likely to understand why it costs so much on installation. And you know, installation materials, and the value on the installer's experience is then appreciated. Really, and it's that is the most important thing, is the experience of someone who knows how to do it is going to carry the system a lot further than just putting expensive products in a car.
Absolutely,
that's not really how it works. So
cool. You know what? Let's show this car that we are sitting in, and then you have an idea about what level of installations Gav does at Subtronix with his little team. Yeah, let's do it. So this is a Ford Focus RS, heavily modified, but also inside it was all retrimmed, right? This is all custom. So we have a three-way JL C7 in here, don't we?
Yes, that's right.
Because the owner just likes JL.
He's a big fan of JL. I'd heard a lot about these components and never had the chance to try them. So I'd look at the specs to see if they were suitable for what we needed them for. And in fact, the customer was not really interested in competition when we spec'd this up. It was more of I just want a nice sounding daily system for a show car. And then he heard one of our other competition cars and kind of got the bug, and he thought, well, if we're going to do it like this, we may as well do it, so it's capable of competing. So the whole car was deadened.
Because especially the doors, because when you use a driver in the door, you don't want the door to rattle, to fall apart. You want a solid mounting for that driver, and not onto the door card, but properly onto the door.
That's right. Yeah, there's behind that there's
a lot more underneath than what people think.
Yeah, so
you see a nice grill. But
it looks like it's just on the outside of the door card, but the actual whole side panel there is sandwiched between the speaker and the solid baffle that it's bolted to.
So we have no rattles. So Pioneer head units running into the DSP. That's the master volume and the set volume controller for the.
That's right. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can sort of press through your presets on there.
Okay.
You got different colours for your presets. I think you can load 3 onto this using this, and you've got separate sub level and volume level.
Yep.
So that's obviously connected to the VXI amplifiers.
So in this car, obviously, it was a factor that, you know, you didn't go way far and too far out of the car's style.
Yeah.
Didn't want to make like a door enclosure or cut off the kicks.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's a fairly expensive car and the owner didn't want that.
Yeah, it's put a lot of effort into getting the car pretty much nut and bolt rebuilt from scratch. Yeah,
the pillars don't look factory, but they look pretty. So
yeah,
it ties in. Cool. Let's have a look at the trunk. So this is the beautiful beast you might have seen in a previous video from the EMA UK finals. So just talk you through in a little bit more detail than in our previous video.
All right, so
this.
Yeah, we wanted initially to build something that was fairly simple in style, but obviously, you know, more towards the show end of the scale in terms of looks. But something that looked a bit more sophisticated. It wasn't just like a box in the boot with a trim panel. And I also wanted to carry through some of the interior styling cues, like the black and yellow theme from the seat backs, and the stitching on the interior. So we decided to use a bit of plexiglass. Yeah, so just make it kind of as clean as we could, but at the same time, you know, flash and show worthy.
Zero wiring on display, nice and neat.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It kind of keeps everything hidden out of the way. And there's laser etched plexiglass on the sides, you know, just showing you kind of like the people that were involved in other areas of the build. We're not quite 100% happy with the colours in the LEDs at the moment.
Oh, don't be too OCD.
Yeah, we can tweak that. That's not a problem.
People rather have to understand what it takes to build something like this, because this is not just panels thrown in. They are made to measure, bolted in properly. It's not going to fall apart if you push the base hard. You know, nothing rattles. These things are the important things, not the lights. But most people.
Yeah, I am pretty OCD though when it comes to design. You know, I like symmetry. I like simple, clean.
Let's have a look at it from the middle.
I don't like to see any screws on show. I like everything to fit together like a puzzle.
Yep. It's tasty, very tasty. Cool. Hopefully, guys, now you get an idea about how much goes into a build. Well, this is not an entry-level build, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, installation is pretty much the key to any great system, because all these equipments would be just boxes stacked up and
yeah. I would say if you're looking for advice from an installer, or just to be able to hear what products can do when they're installed correctly, go approach installers that have got demo cars that you can hear, and attend shows with their cars, that they've built.
Shows are great because you can also see different cars, different levels.
Yeah.
When you go to an installer, they may have something that impresses you at that given moment, but then it might not be up on the level of what the real standard is.
Yeah, listen to lots of cars, sit in as many cars as you can, listen for the differences in the cars.
Then you also figure out what you're after.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you've got to be clear on your goal at the end of the day, to make sure that every penny you spend is spent in the right areas.
Absolutely.
And that you get the sound quality that you're looking for.
Happy days. So guys, subscribe to the channel. Also check out Subtronix, because you have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, we're starting a few YouTube channels.
But
we've got a channel, but there's not a lot of content at the moment.
they can find you on Instagram,
Facebook. That's right.
And you also have a website, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
So check out Subtronix, guys. Then you will see a few really awesome installs they did in the last several years. Cool. Let me know what you think, guys. Please feel free to comment and share the video. Hopefully this is going to help you a little bit more to get on the right track, and hopefully I can talk to you very soon. Take care.